Hello everybody, it's Reviews and More back with another quick Christmas review item. This is the Twinkling Deer family from Sam's Club. This can be had for about $179, although as unfortunately by the time of making this video, they appear to be out of stock online, and at my local store they no longer even had the display of this item out. So maybe this will be kind of like a thing for next year for those of you who are lucky enough to pick one up, or maybe they'll restock, you never know. So this particular item was $179, so 180 bucks. I think we got it on sale for like $169 or something, but it can be ordered online when it's in stock, not in stock right now, or you can just go in person. As far as the assembly goes, it's very, very simple, and the results are extremely pretty. My wife wanted this, so that's why we have it. And just real fast, let's just jump into getting all the PC parts out. Each deer comes pre-wrapped by itself. Each one is self-contained, and each one has its own plug. That means you can separate them out as far as you want. However, one of the big flaws I would point out is you cannot daisy chain the plugs together, which I thought was kind of like an oversight. That would have been like an easy thing to just make it so you wouldn't have to sit there and drag out multiple plugs or surge protectors in the middle of your yard, depending on where you put these things. Now, assembly is not terribly difficult. Functionally, you cannot really put things in the wrong area, with the exception of the legs, which can sometimes get crisscrossed, but the wires that go for the lighting connect directly to the legs, so you don't have to worry about actually hitting the wrong ones, as long as you don't try to sit there and make wires cross across the cavity in the body there. And there you see pulling out the head of the doe. I'm only going to show you the full assembly on the doe and each PC part that kind of gets put together. I'll show you how the legs go on, the head goes on, and the tails and ears go on, because the process is the exact same for each different deer in the family, with the exception of size differences, and obviously the buck has antlers that just get shoved in on the top. So first you see that little loop that goes on the little prong down at the bottom of the neck. Once you get it on there, you then have to go around to the front and actually put in the pressure. It takes a little bit of pressure, so don't be afraid to bend it a little bit. It's going to feel like you're bending it, you're really not. Another little tab goes in there through a loop that's attached to the body, and once that's in there, you can put in the pin that will hold it in place in case it falls over, or in case you, like when you're moving it around or manipulating it for posing or whatever, it doesn't make the head fall off, which is always a good thing. You don't want the head falling off. Now, once we get that secure, there shouldn't be a whole lot of gap between the neck where it connects to the body, but there will be some, as you can see there. The next step is just putting the ears on. The ears will go on two different ways. Only one is correct. I'm going to say the concave portion kind of facing outward like ears do. You'll notice if it's wrong. Use the box as a guide. There's only really one way to put them on functionally that will make it look correct. But once you get them on there, effectively the head and torso are now completed. And now for the legs are by far the more complex part, just because it involves using a wing nut and a wing bolt to keep them hooked in together and steady. But right here, I already have one leg half in. There's two pins on each side, and you see the hole for the wing nut and wing bolt. You just put the pins in, and then you attach the wing nut and wing bolt together. And crank it down tight. That way, there's no movement and there's no wobbling later on. You have it set up, and here's me actually attaching the bolt itself. And it looks just like that. Come on, camera, get in focus. All these sparkly sequins really are murder on the autofocus on this camera, so I apologize for that at this point. And there you go. You can kind of see. Once you get the legs attached, they should line up perfectly. That'll be a real indicator that it's done, that you got things backwards, is if they don't line up and that the outsides just don't line up together, because if you have it in there incorrectly, it just won't line up properly. I did it wrong one time, or almost did it wrong one time. Once you get on there, it's just a matter of tightening it down. It doesn't require any tools. It can be done by hand. The only thing I will point out is you have to do this exact same thing on the small, excuse me, I forgot what they're called, on the baby deer, because I forgot the word for baby deer, whatever. You have to do the same thing, but you have a smaller area to work in. Thank you, Google. It's called a fawn. So there you see the wing nut and wing bolt kind of attached together. That's the level of tightness you're going to be seeing once it's pulled down correctly. And once that's done, this thing should not fall off for any reason unless like a tornado runs through. The next thing you're going to do, and this is only on the hind legs, you are going to put in the bracer in the back, and that will keep it held in place. That way when, let's say, it gets a little windy or when you're setting it up, the back legs won't kind of fall over themselves. Then you got to shove the tail in the booty, and then all of a sudden you got a tail. All these wires should be tucked in. They have a little bit give on them on purpose. That way you can actually, manipulate a little easier, and also makes it better for storage. So you don't have to worry about pulling too hard unless you really just yank the wire stupidly hard. You're not going to worry about breaking this thing. It should be just fine. And here's me doing the same thing on the fawn. It is much more difficult just because there's less area to work in and I have larger hands, but it's the exact same process. You just tighten down the wing nut and wing bolt, does the same thing. The head attaches the same way, the ears attach the same way, and the tail attaches the same way. There's no real difference. It's all functionally identical, and there still has that same, what you're seeing there hanging down, that's the leg brace for the back, just like with the doe. And once you get the doe and the fawn taken care of, you're going to move on to the buck. Again, the buck is done the exact same way. The only thing that's changed is the head positioning because it's a different pose, as well as the fact there's actually antlers attached to the buck, which makes it look super cool. And what you got to do here is the exact same process as putting on the ears. There are certain slots that only fit the antlers. They are square, so the antlers have a different shape prong. That way, the peg can only go in one slot. It also does not go in the first way I put it. I put them so they're kind of facing backwards to the side, but you can, in theory, you can do it both ways, but the imagery has them kind of very large forward-facing antlers that are very, very wide, so they can kind of be seen from the road really easily. But once they're in, there's no real way to mess it up. You can in theory kind of mix up which antler goes where, but it should be fairly obvious very quickly that they don't line up symmetrically, so it shouldn't be too difficult to get this together. Although I do screw it up here, as you can see, because I have them kind of facing the wrong way and I realize it. So once you get that taken care of, there you go. They go in just like that. Get a nice wide set of antlers. Easy to see. Slightly different color. They're a little darker, although it's difficult to see the darkness in the dark when the lights are off and the lights are going. You can see it, everything. But there's the end result with the buck. Looks very, very pretty. Lots of sparkles. And here we go. This is what you see at night. So there's twinkling. The twinkling effect you can see. Sorry about the backlighting with the lit up willows there, but they twinkle. Sorry for the bad camera work. I'm not terribly professional, but that's what you kind of get, and it looks really, really nice. So thanks for watching, guys. I hope the video was helpful. If you like it, please hit the like button and leave a comment if you got any questions, and I'll happily answer them for you. And have a great day.